As a small biz pro, that's how we roll. Using procurement, program and control. As a small biz pro, that's how we grow. Using procurement, program and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh yeah, I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Business Zone with
Crystal.
and Gilbert Buchanan, your small business paramedic. And for those of you who are just tuning in right now for the first time, I just want to explain to you guys what this show is about. The Business Zone is a platform where Crystal and I help small businesses. We provide advice, coaching, counseling, and support services to small micro businesses and entrepreneurs so that they can better function, they can become business ready, contract ready, bank loan ready, and they can also prepare themselves to go after contracts. So, Crystal, today is a really somber day. I know we've had a lot of matters that we discuss on the show, but today is a really somber one for us in terms of small business, in terms of minority individuals and minority businesses, and just a tough one in our society, Crystal. So, what do you think about what's going on right now out
Yeah,
there?
it's pretty intense right now. Um the other day when the young man again
Jacob
was
Blake.
shot was shot in the back. It was like it just took your breath away. I mean, I heard someone yet today. I was talking to someone, and they actually indicated that their brother-in-law no longer leaves the house unless he's with his wife or his children, because he's literally afraid that if he steps out of his house, that he is going to be shot. Now, that is no way for people to live.
No way to live at all. No
It's
way.
it's like, because there's nothing, you know, several years ago when I can't even, Michael Brown, you name it, right? It's, the list has gotten so long you can't even keep up with the list. But
Yeah.
it was, well, it's what you wear, it's how you speak, it's where you are.
Yeah.
It's how, if you have on a hoodie, you don't have on a hoodie. You're
Yeah.
eating candy, you're not eating candy. You're going.
Right.
It's like there is no like. It's just the fact that the one thing that cannot be hidden is the color of our skin.
Exactly.
We can't take it off and say, okay, I'm going out into the world and I'm going to go shopping and I'm going to put on my imaginary white suit so
Yeah.
that I don't get shot.
Right. Right.
It's just, to me, I guess, Gilbert, for me, is one, I don't quite understand the intense racism, the intense hatred. It's not
Right.
even the racism part. It's
Right.
the intense hatred
Yes.
that seems to, and it came with this administration. It's not that he created racism. He hadn't. It has always been there. But I think in the past, they weren't as open about their feelings. They kept it
Right.
inside, and it's like someone took the top off of Pandora's box, and said,
hmm
"Hey, it's okay for you to do this." And basically, Black people are, it's part of a hunting season. It's like,
hmm
so with that young man, I don't know how you felt about it, but that young man that standing there smiling and happy that he just shot somebody.
Yeah.
Where are we?
Yeah. That is ridiculous. And you notice the other white kid who had that AK-47 that shot those other two people. You
hmm
notice they refer to him as a militia,
Yes.
not as a mob or whatever they were classifying the black folks who had no weapon, who were
Right.
peacefully protesting. They call them all kinds of names, but that one white kid who committed the crime, the murder, the
Right.
slaughter of two people and injuring one, all of a sudden he's a militia and he's not a criminal. So, that's the kind of thing that needs to be changed in this society. I also want to talk about this, Crystal, because this kid was born 3 years before me. That's Emmett Till. Today's the anniversary of Emmett Till's murder, and it happened in uh, August 28, 1955, while he was visiting his family in Mississippi, Money, Mississippi. He was 14 years old, and he's from Chicago. He was brutally murdered by allegedly flirting with a white woman. That's not
Right.
true. Those things happen every day, and a lot of people don't see the danger in that. I see a lot of people out there who, because they want to make a case or they want to look good, they make these false allegations about against black men so the cops can come and the cops can do whatever they need to do with us in order to put us in our place. And that's exactly what happened with Emmett Till in August 28, 1955, where this white woman, just because he was walking down the street, he didn't get off the sidewalk, he didn't walk over on the other side, that she decided to falsely accuse him of flirting with her and staring at her.
And
So,
it's like,
yeah,
again, we can't walk the street.
right.
We can't look people in the eye. We can't, I mean, even if you're looking, even if you had looked up and said, hello, how are you? Which is, we're taught to do that, right? But we can't even do that.
Right,
And that's so common
right,
for that to have happened. I mean, in
right.
fact, in those days, everyone that was shot was because they were, or hung, was
Yeah,
because they felt that they were looking at a white woman, or
right.
a white woman said that they were looking. Which is, we're going through that today as well, because
Mhm.
you have your Karens.
Yeah.
And your Karens, the minute they go, I feel endangered and I'm going to call the police,
Mhm.
you're already in jeopardy right
Right.
there,
And that's
because
exactly what it
all
is.
hell can go break
Yeah.
loose at that point, and next thing you know, you find yourself dead.
Yeah.
And it's just sad. It's
And
just, I don't know, just sad.
these cops they don't need a reason to commit the crime, the criminal acts that they commit. And I'll say that, because one, I'm really sick of what's going on. And two, right now nobody is doing anything. Everyone is standing by. Everyone is a bystander. Everyone is an onlooker. They're rubbernecking. They're just watching the procedure, watching what's going on and doing nothing about it. And, what they're really doing is being complicit to what's going on, so staying silent is being complicit. So it's like you're just as guilty as the perpetrators committing these crimes.
That's exactly what Trevor Noah, and it was a Trevor, no, they, Don Lemon, he has a new podcast, and the podcast is called, um, it is called America Can't Stay Silent. You
Right.
can't not just not look on, because in the pre-Trump, and maybe even during Obama's tenure, there was, again, they were still hiding it. They were
Hmm.
still doing it, but they weren't so verbal about it. But
Yeah.
today is different.
Yeah, they're being encouraged from the top of the head of the snake. They're being encouraged. He give them authority to go out and do it, because in one of his presentations he said, "Hey, don't be kind and gentle to them. Don't hold their heads when you're stuffing them in the car. Force it and kick them and knock them. That's what
Hmm.
he said. So they think that that's an approval for them to keep doing that to us." And you
And you
know me,
know,
Crystal, I usually don't talk politics on the show. You know me. But I've had enough. I've had enough, man. I have had enough.
yeah, I was just so disgusted the other day. I'm like, we're done. And you know, Gilbert, so I was looking at right after all of that was going on, and the sheriff in it was a Kenosha, Wisconsin. He
Yeah.
was talking, so you know he was sounding really empathetic, and he was like he's gonna put his foot down, and the blue line wasn't gonna cross here, and da 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 da. Right. So I'm like, okay, well, this man is trying to sound like he's got some common sense, and this is wrong. And he made a comment that the young man, he felt that he was part of a group that wanted to be deputized to come out and protect property in the city.
So he's talking about the white kid.
The white kid, the young white kid. So he was like, hell no, I saw the liability of that, right? So I'm thinking, okay, wow, this may be finally a sheriff that gets it, right? And then yesterday I was perusing my YouTube, and oh Lord, why did I have to peruse my YouTube? Because I ran across a video that he had done a couple years ago. And basically, his opinion was that black people are animals,
Garbage.
that we are garbage, that we are a cancer on society, and that we don't do anything but have babies and not take care of our babies, and that what else did he say? And that their job is to just completely eliminate us, put us in jail for the rest of our lives,
Yeah.
or kill us, or
Yeah.
whatever it is. But for the sake of preserving life in America, you have to get rid of these people.
Yes. Yeah.
That was what he said.
I was watching that this morning on PBS as well, and that guy, he is unbelievable. The ACLU down there in Wisconsin, they're saying that um, they're calling for his resignation, but I don't think they're very aggressive enough. They need to get rid of him because this guy is a really bad example. There's another story about a shooting in that area, that same town. Okay, and that was 14 years ago. Now that was a shooting of a white guy
Mm,
instead of a black guy. Okay,
okay.
and the cancer in that area, yeah, the sheriff is a cancer, but the district attorney is the cancer because he's the one who doesn't press charges against these cops when they do that. And the district attorney is still there. So I doubt there is going to be any charges pushed unless someone really, really decides to, hey, launch a big campaign about removing that district attorney. Otherwise, nothing is going to be done. 14 years ago. Uh, uh, Look it up, Crystal. Michael, when you get a chance, Michael
Uh-huh.
Beale. That was the name of the white person who got killed. Michael Beale.
Okay.
Okay, his dad was a pilot in the military, and because of his expertise and his connections and all of that, they were able to investigate and bring some heavy hitters to the table. But
Mm,
other than that, nothing would have been done. So I guess when they start bringing some heat on the cops, then the cop who was involved in the shooting, the cop shot him point blank. He put the
wow.
gun in his temple and shot him. Right?
Wow.
And throughout the investigation, the cop changed his story about 19 times.
Mm,
And then because they brought the heat on him, the cop killed himself, committed suicide. So the sheriff was there saying, "Oh, it's a shame that a good cop had to die." He said nothing about the person they killed. You see what I'm saying? So that's been an ongoing a theme in that area with those cops, with the sheriff and the
uh-huh.
district attorney. They're all hand in hand. They go to the same events, the same fundraisers. So that's why
Right.
I'm saying that for Jacob Blake to get some justice out of this, It's going to be really, really tough. Everyone throughout the whole nation will have to come together and force the sheriff to resign and force the district attorney to resign in order for them. They pass a law there in Wisconsin that says that the cops there cannot police themselves because of the corruption that was there. So
Wow.
whenever a case like this occur, they have to have an outside investigator to investigate and prosecute those cops. So that's what
It's
Jacob.
interesting because the young man that got killed by the young white boy, the
Yeah,
17-year-old young man, um, doesn't his life matter? I mean, they're saying other lives matter, all lives matter, right?
yes,
That's
yes,
what they're telling us. All lives matter,
right.
not just black lives. Well, that young man, he was a white guy.
They're saying why other lives matter. The word other, it doesn't refer to us. Other means white. That's really what it means. That's a
Right,
subliminal word.
exactly.
That's what
Right.
they're saying.
But the young man that got killed the other day was a white guy. The
Oh,
young man
really?
the young man that Blake got killed, or he's paralyzed and handcuffed to his hospital bed, but which I don't get that part either.
That's
But okay,
crazy.
because he's paralyzed from the waist down. What I don't
Yeah,
know. I guess he's a criminal.
yeah,
Um, but the young white kid actually shot another white kid,
yeah.
a young man,
Right.
and
That's unbelievable, man. And
it's unbelievable.
nothing is going to become of that until you get those two cancer out of there, the district attorney and that sheriff. You know, I mean, let's flip the script here, Crystal. I know we're kind of, talking a lot about this, but let's flip the script.
Hmm.
What if it were a black person with an AK-47 who was shooting other white people? You see what I'm saying?
You know what would have happened? You
All of those
know
cops would
what?
have emptied their guns on him. You see what I'm saying? That is just so ridiculous, man. It's like that's why we're so sick and tired, Crystal. We're sick and tired of the double standard, the two sets of rules. The one
Hmm.
set for dark skinned people and the one for the lightest of the light skinned people.
Hmm.
We're sick of it. We're sick of it. We don't want to deal with it
Because
anymore.
we, just like I just said earlier, when you feel that you don't even want to come out of your house, and it's not because of the pandemic. You don't want to come out of your house because you literally don't want to die. That's a problem. That's really where we are. We're afraid to leave our house because at this point in this juncture in the game, there is no safety for us. And
Right.
like I said, for the last 4 or 5 years or 10 years or whatever's been going on, it's been, well, if you're dressed like this, you're this and this and this. I mean, you know what's so interesting to me, Gilbert? We are in a pandemic that has shut down the economy.
Yeah.
How in the world, when
Yeah.
the economy is so important to the capitalism, that's really what they care about, right?
Yeah.
How in the hell do you have time to still be killing black people?
That's what I'm talking about.
We
Well,
should be trying to um, we should be trying to contain the coronavirus so that we can get back to some sort of normality,
yeah.
and we're not doing that, right?
Well, the reason I can tell you the answer to that, why they're killing us, right? Back in the day, we were a machine that makes money for them. We generated money. We were a commodity for them.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're no longer a commodity. They can't make us slave because back in the day when we were slave, we worked for free. So they make a lot of money. There's no overhead. They had no
Right,
overhead. Their
right.
cost of goods sold was really low. They didn't have to worry about that. But now it's different. We're not a commodity. They don't control us, so we're no longer their slaves. So therefore, we're becoming some kind of overhead to them because they have to pay for certain things. They have to pay for services. See what I mean?
Right. But
So
but again, the incarceration piece, they created that as a a business. They
Yes.
privatized that, and
Yes.
so you couldn't get us back into slavery, one way, because there's laws against that,
Right.
and then two, okay, so now we need to create it. So then we had sharecropping. Okay, now we're not doing that, and now the last thing is, okay, let's just incarcerate everyone, and then we still have free labor, or very basic, almost free labor. Diane says
Exactly.
we're a threat. We're a threat. That's what we are.
Right.
But, and I think, and I know some of it is, and I guess, if I was on the other side of the coin, I would be wondering, when are these people finally going to rise up? But then, if we rise up, then we have another civil war, and so we're just in a real precarious time. But I will say this, and I don't know if it's because of the pandemic or what it is, but corporate America is stepping up, at least with money. And as I've done some research, there's a, what do we go from here? What do we do, right? And of course,
Yeah.
they want to be on the right side of this for history,
Yeah.
and so money is coming to our community. But even then, the money
Yeah.
comes into the community, and who gets the bulk of the money?
That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So we don't really have any say so. And that's part of the reason why I've been saying, all along that what happened in 1927 in Oklahoma, they've recognized that we really didn't need them per se because we can function on our own. We generate our own revenue. We're self sufficient. They did not like that. So did the bombing, the fires, and all of those things to control us again. So
Mm-hmm.
now they're trying to do the same thing again. You see what I'm saying? So my thing is, we really need to galvanize among ourselves and share our resources and start, doing what you and I have been talking about on this show. For example, instead of a small business renting a space, having a landlord, we pool our resources, we purchase a building, and we pay rent among ourselves until each person acquire enough resources to purchase another building for themselves. And then we
Mm-hmm.
keep doing that until we're no longer having to depend upon slave drivers. You see
Right,
what I
exactly.
mean?
And actually, I was reading the other day on you on I think either Facebook or YouTube, and there's a group of, and I don't know what city they're in. They're back east somewhere, and it was about 10 or 15 of them. They got together and they bought a parcel of land, 19 acres, and so
Right,
now that they're going to build their own little community within there and be controlling of their destiny, and I think that's where we have to be, but I think it has to be on a bigger scale. So when we talk, Gilbert, obviously the focus of our show is on business and capital and opportunities.
right.
So I think that if, and this would be a big one, but the NBA, the NFL, any sport that has us playing in it, we need
Yeah,
to have our own teams. And we've tried this integration thing. We've
yeah,
tried it,
yeah.
and in my opinion, right to this day, it don't work.
No,
And so instead of being entertainment for them, then if we're going to be entertainment, let us be the owners of that entertainment. So they
right,
create their own leagues. They bring in all of their players. Let
right,
them have their league. I mean, are we at that place right now? Do we have to have our businesses? They have to have their businesses. We become completely self contained. But then my question is, if that's the case, why are we going to be here?
right,
Why
right,
don't we just pick up all of our whatever and just leave?
right. Well,
Because
I think we're getting, Crystal, I think we're getting more and more aware of what needs to be done. You see what I'm saying? And one of them is what you and I have discussed on this show before, to identify different customer segments. And some of those
yes,
customer segments are going to be either in a foreign country or a foreign region for people who are more susceptible to what we offer, what we sell, our product and our services. And then we don't need to depend on this economy right here to provide us with what type of resources we need. Because now we're selling globally, we're doing it international, and we've got a bigger market there. So that's really what we probably need to start focusing on, is to start
And
looking at that
right, looking
international
for
market.
international. So I don't know if you heard. Well, two big things happened this week. One is, the billionaire Robert Smith. He
Uh,
is the guy that last year paid for all of the Morehouse
the
graduates
graduate, yeah,
their school loans.
yeah.
Well, now because he was talking reparations, so
Hmm.
now they are saying they're going after him because he has offshore accounts.
Well, that's
And
that's usually what they do. They always see my. That's what I'm saying. How hypocritical this economy and this society is. They're going after him because he's trying to help us. And see, this is Oklahoma revisited right here. This is Oklahoma because in Oklahoma they try to be self-sufficient. They came in, they destroyed because they want us to be sufficient
uh,
be dependent upon them.
right, exactly.
This guy is trying to help us. Now they're going after him with offshore. Donald Trump has all kinds of offshore accounts. Why aren't they going after him? You know?
Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell, all of
Yeah,
those
all
guys
of
have
them.
offshore
So
accounts
why don't they go after them? I mean, they're
because
getting me in this little corner right now that I don't want to be into. But come on, this is ridiculous.
it is. But now there is a good. So there is another side of it. Yesterday I saw that Broadway Federal Bank, which is the bank that I bank with, Black Bank
Yeah,
here in Los Angeles,
yeah.
they're merging with a Black bank in Washington D.C. First
Hmm.
City First Bank.
Yeah,
And so by 2021, and then they will have one of the largest, I think they will have over $1 billion reserve, but they're a black bank. In
yeah.
fact, yesterday I bought their shares because a Broadway Federal shares is like $1.79. So I
Oh.
bought 50 shares left. I would suggest everybody because that's going to be pretty huge. And then also right on the backside of that, they're creating a black stock exchange.
Mm.
That's a guy that's out of Chicago. So there
Hmm.
are those kind of moves being made, Gilbert.
Yeah.
Um, I sat on a 3.5 hour a webinar yesterday with it was hosted by BizFed Institute, and they
Hmm.
were talking about racism in the housing marketplace. And it was pretty interesting. And so there's a book called The Color of Law.
Hmm.
This author, his name is Robert Rosenstein, wrote, and he talked about how to make changes. And his biggest thing is that um, because of the way housing is here in Los Angeles and in California, that and across the country, and because of the systemic racial laws and the redlining and zoning and so forth that has taken place, and he goes into deep detail about that.
Yeah.
But he says we have to have a new civil rights movement, just
Right.
like the movement that took place with Martin Luther King. We have to be in that place.
Hmm.
Let's see. Here's a couple of things from Captain Gerald, Captain G. He says, what is he saying? God has shut down America and the world because of our inappropriate behavior. All of this is part of a mess that has not been cleaned up since the American Civil War. It's an effect of American slavery. The reason why they are killing us is because we are America's firstborn and we have firstborn rights. And so it's an American slave economic genocide. Um, no third civil war has begun. Black white lives matter is getting the money, and so he has an organization. that's working on a global economic engine. So I think when we come back to all it's said and done, you're absolutely right, Captain. We have to create a economic stream and revenue stream that doesn't necessarily have to be here in America.
Right.
We can do business in Africa. We can do
Exactly.
business in the Caribbean. We can do business
South
all over the
America,
world.
all of
So,
those areas. And again, I keep saying this over and over. There, there's about 13% of us in the United States, 13% of blacks, and
right.
about 49% of Latinos. No, I'm sorry,
Yes.
39% Latinos.
Right.
So you put those numbers all together right there, we're about 52%. So we're dominant right there. So we come together and we pool our resources. We do trade among each other, do trade among ourselves. We can sustain ourselves. We don't need to try to get involved in mainstream America. We don't need that. We don't need that. And once we remove ourselves from that, they will see how much they're dependent upon our talent, our skills, our resources. So
Right.
far, they don't get that because they think, this, when a woman is in an abusive relationship.
Yeah, that's what I've always
uh,
said that's happening here. We're in an
yeah,
abusive
an
relationship.
abusive relationship, right? And the abuser keep thinking that, okay, she can't go anywhere else. She's not going to get anything better. So she will always stay with me. So I'm going to try to abuse her as much as I can. Not knowing that there is a guy out there just waiting to help her, to pool their resources, to team up and make things better for both of them. And
Right.
once she meets this person and decide to elevate herself, then all of a sudden he keeps coming back and begging and pleading for her to come back to him, the abuser. The abuser. You see what I'm saying? That's what's going on right now. We've got
Right.
this abuser in America that's abusing us as black and brown people. They're abusing us. And all we got to do is just pack our stuff and leave. We need to leave and find a promised land that we can really cultivate and make those resources our own. That's really what it is.
And I know everyone has different feelings about that, but when you do look at it, and one of the things, and you shared a document with me today, with me today, and when we look at systematic racism, when it takes in everything that affects us and how we function every single day.
Yeah.
So it deals with any economic opportunities that you have, right?
Yeah.
The healthcare disparities where we go in, and I'm going to share your document, and I think
Yeah.
it's I'm going to share this right here.
Yeah.
So everybody can really get a good look at it. I hope they can see it. So, okay. When somebody said they're not leaving, they're staying. Okay. So, which is cool. But when it affects from the economic side standpoint, the healthcare disparities, affecting any kind of change, and when they use us today, when Trump was doing his thing this week with and I'm going to show this
You
so
mean
people
the
can
the
see
you mean the bogus convention?
the bogus convention, right? So the bogus convention, basically, he was saying that what was he saying? He was basically saying that he has done more for the black people than anybody else, than Barack Obama, than anybody. That he is from the way he was sounding, Gilbert. He is our Mecca. He is our God, our everybody.
Yeah.
And I just, my thing is, dude, do you not know that you can't see us? You don't think we see this?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have anything good to say about us. You never have had anything good to say. And It's crazy. It's just crazy. But when we look at how it affects us from a systematic space, from a institutional space, and an individual space, and you know, I saw something that in our that even when you go to the hospital now, some of this stuff is just insane, just
Yeah.
insanity.
Yeah.
Because even when we go to the hospital, in their minds, we are stronger, and therefore we don't need the same medication that everybody else has. We can handle pain. I guess they think we're superhuman, so therefore, if you shoot us, you can't use a taser gun. You can't bring us down with physical force. You have to use a gun, and then in that gun, you can't shoot one time. You got to shoot 25 times. You don't even shoot an animal 25 times.
Yeah.
So it is insane.
Yeah.
Victoria said he's a delusional narcissist.
Yeah.
Delusional, yes. Um, so it just baffles the brain, and I guess that's what has to happen. We have to figure out how to wrap our head. It's so insane that sometimes you think you're losing your mind
Yeah.
because you
Well,
don't know how do we get past this. And I guess that's the question: how do we get past this?
several things. I want to address the I do more for black people than anybody else craziness first. I want to address that. So, see, when I was growing up, right, we have these little people in our community. We call them storytellers. You know,
Uh-huh.
they would gather us all together and start telling us some crazy stories that never really existed. It's far fetched, but we listen because it's funny, it's humorous, it's a story. That's what
Right.
this guy is. He's a storyteller. He tells these stories and he expects to get a rise out of us. And the more he says it and we let him, then the more he keeps saying it, and then the more he start believing it. And like Victoria said there, the caller or the viewer said that he's delusional. Yes, he is delusional because he feels that if he tells the story over and over and over, and no one really challenges him on it, then he's really thinking that that's really what's happening. Yeah, this guy is crazy. Now, going back to the hospital part of it, they've always seen us as guinea pigs. They've always seen us as test subjects. They've always seen us as, not human, like you say. So everything they need to test or prove or have a case study is done on us. Just like with this bogus vaccine that they claim that he claimed that is going to come out soon, the plasma that he strong
Yeah.
armed and bullied the FDA and the CDC to approve, you know and they're another one, they're another set of criminals too. I mean, they're complicit in this because they know that what he's doing is wrong. And to have a vaccine that's not even enter into the third phase of testing, to release that onto the market, it's criminal. You're not supposed to do that. Every person in the medical profession knows that. So
Right.
for him to come out and say that, then the next step is to test that vaccine on us. It's not going to be on his kind or anyone looking like him. It's going to be on us. And
No.
then and then
Yes.
he's going to try this little bogus approach by making it mandatory. Oh, in order for you to get your Medicaid or whatever health services that you
Your
need,
any
you
kind
got
of
to
your
take
social
this
security.
vaccine. Yeah, and that's
Right.
how it's going to work. So we got to be conscious and be aware, just like with a voting situation. We got to be aware and understand, know our rights, know where the polling stations are, know what the requirements are. Do you need an ID? Do you need two IDs? Do you need a government ID? Know what you need so they cannot stop you when you go to vote. So going back to the structural and systematic racism that they try to impose on us, that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
We go in for health care. They don't give us proper care. They give us mediocre stuff. I am 6 to 6 days, crystal clock. 66 days, 8
You're
hours,
not gonna have a
20 minutes, and 16 seconds. You guys have to vote. 66 days, 8 hours, 20 minutes. Okay? You guys need to find your polling station. No, one of the good things that came out of this boycott that the NBA players did yesterday is they forced their team owners to make it a mandate that in every city that there is an NBA arena, they should use
Okay.
that arena as a polling place, which is
Oh,
a good thing. Yeah, that's a good
okay.
thing that came
Oh, I
out of
didn't hear
this.
that. That's
Oh yeah,
pretty. Now, let me
oh
give a
yeah,
clap for
oh
that one.
yeah. And I'll repeat
Okay.
it. In
Okay.
every city that there's an NBA team, they're forcing that arena to be a polling place. So no longer will they say, people are being locked out, they can't vote, and the lines are too long because those arenas are big. Those arenas can hold thousands of people. So no longer will people, they can deny us. Well, you shouldn't be able to, but they'll find ways. They'll find
Yes.
ways. Oh, you don't live in this zip code, so you can't vote. It's crazy.
And then the other thing is to take your ballot to a registrar. So if you have a registrar where you register to get married, you register, you go to pick up your death certificates, any of those. So in Los Angeles, it's in Norwalk. In Van Nuys, I mean, in the Valley, it's in Van Nuys. I'm
Right,
sure that in Riverside and Orange County,
right.
take your ballot to the registrar's office and take it inside the door. Because once they inside, now we're on federal property, and you cannot, you cannot tamper with that mail. So,
And
uh,
also, do your ballot within the next 30 days. Within the next 30 days. Do not wait for
yes,
November 3rd or November 2nd. Do it now within the next 30 days because they're going to find all kinds of ways to stop us. We
we
cannot
gotta.
allow another we cannot allow another 180,000 people to die because of this coronavirus because it's been mishandled by some guy who said you knew I was a snake when you voted me in. That's what he said.
It sounds
He
like
said,
a Jamaican proverb. You knew
yeah,
I was a snake.
yeah. He said, you knew I was a snake when you voted me in. I told you not to trust me, and you did. That's what he said in 2016. That's exactly what he said. That guy, man. So,
Victoria says that's great and making sure that they're registering all of the players. Marjorie Gale said Gail said that she wasn't getting no vaccine.
that's right. I'm not either. I am not either because I remember the Tuskegee experiment. That Tuskegee experiment where they injected syphilis in all the black males and they killed us. They did
and,
it on purpose.
and Henrietta Hanks, they used her body as for a guinea pig. So all of the procedures that have anything to do with a woman's uterus and fallopian tubes, they just carved that poor woman up and tried everything. She was literally a guinea pig, and she was alive. It
Yeah,
wasn't like she was a cadaver; she was
yeah,
alive. So no, I am 100% not getting anything that
yeah.
resembles anybody putting anything in my body.
They
I don't
treated they
care.
treated her like a Frankenstein, and that's really what they're doing to us. They test us. We're test subjects.
Yeah.
I mean, even PETA, when you use a cat or a rabbit as a test subject, you spray deodorant in their eyes or whatever. PETA comes in and they complain and they file lawsuits. They don't do anything for us. I don't see anyone complaining about the treatment that we're getting. So, Crystal, this is what we're saying: that a dog and a cat is treated much better in this country than
It
we
is.
are.
And so we have to take the bull by the horn. We have to use our power whether it's and in this case, the NBA, they use their power in order to at least say, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. Then yes, let's use all the stadiums for that. I think there's several doctors that anyone that comes into the emergency room, they're going to be allowed to vote there. So we have to be creative enough, because the ones that are trying to prevent that is us from doing that is because they're raping this country.
Right.
They're taking everything out of the country. And you know, Gilbert, I didn't watch the DNC. I've seen excerpts of it online on YouTube.
Yeah.
But here's the thing and this is the delusion, Victoria. He is campaigning like the last 4 years was not him.
Exactly. Like he wasn't there.
He wasn't there. He is campaigning like this is brand new. There was some mystery president in place.
Somebody else was running the country.
But it wasn't him. So he's campaigning like, I don't know, was a mystery. Obama was there, or Hillary was there. But the last 4 years was not him. He's coming as the savior because he can fix all this stuff that other person,
that suspicious person. And those 180 people who died, I know nothing about it, because I offer up my suggestion, which is disinfectant. We asked you guys to take disinfectant. You didn't want to take it. So I don't know what you guys are saying. I did well. That's what he's saying. This guy's an idiot.
He's delusional. Victoria said yesterday she went to the doctor and they asked her to take a flu shot. She said no, and the nurse went, "Oh, you're making me sad." She goes, "No, I'm staying safe and alive."
Exactly. Exactly. I usually don't advocate and tell people what to do or what not to do, but as far as the vaccine is concerned, I'm saying no. No, black and brown people, no, we should not take those vaccines, because first of all, we don't know what's in it. Second of all, we don't know what kind of tests they're running, what kind of scheme they're running, because remember, they're getting paid for these vaccines to test these things. We don't know. So why don't they test it on themselves first? And even if they test it on themselves, we don't know what version of it we're going to get.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
I don't even want them. I tell you what, when you got it perfected some 5 years from now, then maybe. But right now, oh no.
I'll continue to wear my mask.
Right, I'll wear my mask. Because right now, when you start taking away post office boxes, you're really suspect to me, man.
Exactly. So I just wanted us to finish going through this the systematic racism chart, the pinwheel right here, Crystal.
Okay.
So we talked about the economic opportunity that they reduce. They make it scarce for us. There's no economic opportunity, and I just want to talk about that real quickly for small businesses. Economic opportunity means that no access to contract opportunity, no access to a loan or a line of credit for your small business, no access to really support services that you get from economic development agencies. None of that is there. They claim they're there to help you, and I really, really want to put this out there. All right. I've worked with a lot of chambers in this county, in this town, right? A lot of chambers. You can name whichever cultural identity I work with that chamber. All of them do the same little bogus training programs. None of them have a program designed to help small business with a desired outcome. Not one of them. So that's, to me, is restricting economic opportunity from you guys. So small businesses, you need to recognize and understand, when you go to these training programs, if there's no desired outcome structured in it, where you're entering it, if you're not walking out with certifications, you're not walking out with your business being set up, your back office being set up properly so you can go after opportunities, you don't need to be in those classes. I just want you guys to know that was a waste of your time.
Right.
So that's one way. We talk about the healthcare, Crystal. You talk about that, right?
Yeah.
Now, the healthcare is another thing where when we go in, they want us to come up with large amounts of money to pay up front. Most of the time, the healthcare program that we get, our deductibles are so huge. You can purchase a car with a deductible that they're trying to ask for, and we
Right.
can't afford that. So we got to come up with system. Effecting change is minimal. They make it so difficult. That's what the NBA players are trying to do, and they've got to some point. But the question is, how strong of an effect or change is going to occur from that. The
Right.
cultural reinforcement of the racism, that's just phenomenal, because the cultural reinforcement is what you see in the media, you see it on the news, when you go to
Right.
school, when you read your books, when you watch movies, all of those things. You see the reinforcement of racism. So we need to really, really recognize that. And Crystal, I'll let you go over the other ones.
Yeah, we have to let me get back to my your email.
So
So
leader accessing leadership opportunity. That's another one. You want to talk about
right,
that one?
because actually I had read recently that 3.3% of the CEOs and presidents of corporate America, yeah, the CEOs in corporate America, there are only 3.3% that are black, that are black people,
Right.
black or black, not black or brown, black people in America, black women or men.
Yeah.
They are only represented by 3%. So and that's 13% of us, but only out of that is 3% of the 13% of us as black people. So that means right away the leadership from the head,
Hmm.
there is no preference for you, right?
Right. Right.
And then if you do come in, they want you to come in. The clown in the White House said the other day, we're going to bring back all of the manufacturing companies. Whatever was being manufactured in China is no longer going to be manufactured there. We're going to put American people back to work. We don't need to worry about education. There's too many people. We have too many college educated people in our country. They just need to have a basic high school diploma, and we're going to put them to work in a factory. Well, under his leadership, he's already eliminated a great deal of those that were doing the manual labor in this country,
Right.
which is a lot of your Hispanics and individuals that come here from other countries. So what does that mean to us as a people? Now you're making sure we don't get properly educated,
Right.
so that we don't have the proper skill set to be able to work at the Googles and the way the world is going, the Teslas. You have to be skillful.
Right.
You
And
have to have college educations to work at those companies. Because why? Because you're going to make a 6-figure or 5 to 6-figure income. But if you keep me as a lonely manufacturing employee, what am I going to make? 15? The most I'm going to get to is 17, $18 an hour.
and see, they don't see us as white collar leaders. They don't see us as that. They see us as a blue collar leader. So it's got to be manufacturing or being in those little bogus cave. What they call that? The coal mines. That's what
Yeah.
they're talking about. That's where they see us as leaders. That's ridiculous. So that's why I'm saying we got to pool our resources as small businesses, and we got to galvanize among ourselves. Like we always say on this show, it takes a village. So we got to recognize those resources, and then defining leadership, they define us, right? They tell us what we should be and should understand in terms of racism. And
Right.
we can't allow those types of things, Crystal. We cannot.
No. No, we cannot. It's so with, like I said, with leadership now, we have now on us. It's our responsibility to make sure that we receive the education and the skill sets that we need in order to be part of a productive society. Whether
Right.
you're doing it here in this country or you're doing it out of this country, we have to redevelop who we are, right?
Right.
So we can't continue to push back on technology. We
Right.
have to embrace technology.
That's a
We
very,
have to
very
go
good
back and
point.
right, we have to go back and educate ourselves on things that is pertinent for today.
Yeah.
Coronavirus has changed how we do business.
Yes.
So if you are not trying to figure out how to get, especially for those of us that are coaches and speakers and whatever that we're doing, that we use our brain in order to make our living, if you're not figuring out how to do it online, you are going to be in big trouble.
Going to be left behind. And
You're
that's
going to
part
be
of what
left behind.
that's part of what we're saying, that make sure as a small business, first of all, you set up your infrastructure, set up your back office, make sure you have all your compliance documents in place. Now, you guys don't have to use our resources, you can use other resources, but make sure that you are ready. I've been doing a lot of coaching over since this coronavirus start, and I'm working with so many small businesses, and many of them, they don't really know what compliance documents they need. So reach out to us. That's why we're here. That's why we have the business zone. We can tell you guys, we can coach you, we can provide you a checklist, we can tell you what you need so that you can, if you need to obtain a line of credit or your PPP loan or whatever it is, then you don't get turned down because you don't have the proper documents in place.
Exactly. And so those are the things that onus is on us. And I've been doing a lot of coaching and as well, Gilbert. And so and everybody that's coming to me is like, okay, what do I need to do? So that's the attitude that you have to have, is now we're looking at your new version of you. So
Yeah.
whatever you had before cannot work. And you got to think bigger. You got to think outside of this community. You got to think nationwide. You got to think it global. You
Right.
have to look at and all the education and all the webinars that are going on right there. Take the time out while you are at home, closeted away from coronavirus, in order to improve and to increase your knowledge base, because the more information you have, the more knowledge you have, it is power. It helps us move past where we are, so that we don't have this pit in the pit this feeling in the pit of our stomach that we've all had this week. It's been just horrendous, of the last 4 or 5 days, and that's pretty much why Gilbert and I are having this show, because it's too much. It's like I'm at a done place. I am disgusted. I bring a lot to the table. My people bring a lot to the table, and it is time that the equality is there. That we're deriving the same benefits that everyone else that lives in this country, and we should not be afraid to walk out of our houses because we're afraid someone's going to shoot us. That whether you're doing something wrong or not, the color of your skin is not a reason to shoot a person. That's
And
just the
just
bottom line.
and just remember this also. I want to challenge, I want to challenge everyone listening or watching this program right now. I want to challenge you, all of you, to go out and get one new customer group, get one new customer segment, add that customer segment to your list of customers that you currently have. You may have lost a few customer segments because of the coronavirus. I want to challenge you next week, this coming week, to go out and find you a new customer segment that you can market your product or your services to, so you can enhance your revenue. Also, I want you guys to remember this, which no one else thinks about, no one remembers. All right, we're the ones, primarily, okay, primarily who built this country.
Yes,
We built the White House. We built the White House.
we
We built
built the
all
people's
those state houses, all the prisons. We built all of those. Okay, you see what I'm saying? And if you guys don't understand it, I want you guys to go listen to that Bob Marley song called Crazy Ballhead. Crazy Ballhead. He said, "We
house.
build your penitentiaries, we build your schools, and brainwash education is what you give us to make us a fool." So keep that in mind. If you don't remember anything from this show today, go out, get yourself a new customer segment, and remember, they've taken us to be a fool for too long. Now you need to wake up, shake yourselves out of that, okay?
Right, exactly. Get yourself up off your carcass and get some stuff done. Before we wrap up, but you're absolutely right. And I'm going to even ask you to then put your whatever you're doing. Go get you a new. Victoria says she's going to take the challenge. I say also get yourself on social media and start reaching out to other countries and other places with your product in
Yes.
order to increase your revenue.
Yes.
Everyone should. It's been a crazy year, so let's end out this last quarter with some increased revenue. So look for new avenues to make money. Create you some new revenue streams.
Yes.
I'm going to be doing. I'm speaking at a couple of announcements before we leave. I am speaking at the Black Business Expo, Los Angeles Black Business Expo, which is going to be September 12th.
Uh-huh.
It's virtual and it's going to be pretty awesome. So I'm doing a presentation on creating multiple streams of income.
Excellent.
Also, Gilbert and I are going to do some interviews live through the panel. So check it out. This is the Black Expo that we had back in the day when Barbara Lindsay and Hal Halbrick was out at the convention center. So now it's going to be virtual. It's going to be awesome. We're marketing heavy. So go to my Facebook page. I'm going to be sending out an Eventbrite sign up and come on out because it's going to be an expo. You're going to be able to support other businesses and see some really, really incredibly powerful speakers. Les Brown is going to be there. George Frazier is going to speak. It's just going to be pretty awesome. So we want to make sure that you participate in that. So that is September 12th, and it is the Los Angeles Black Business Expo. So we want you to do that. Also,
mark your calendars.
Mark your calendars. So excited about that. But one other thing that I want to share before we leave is my niece got married yesterday.
All right.
And, so I wasn't able to be where she was because she is actually in Cairo.
Oh, in Egypt, huh?
Egypt. And so of course we can't leave the country. Nobody is going to allow us Americans to go. And so that's my niece. She got married. Her name is Iman Mokhtar. I don't know what the new last name is, but I am
congratulations,
so happy for her.
niece.
And so that is her family, and she was in Egypt. So she should be back home soon. And I just want to let her know that I love her and I congratulate her and I wished her the best, her and her new husband. And I can't wait till she comes back home. So I wanted to share that. So
congratulations.
That was a good thing that took place this week.
Well, at least we got one good thing out of this week.
I know, huh?
Oh man.
Yeah, it was a rocky week. It was a rocky week. So we're gonna hopefully look for next week being a lot better. Thank you, Victoria. I put the pictures of my niece on Facebook today after she said it. So she said the pictures were beautiful. Thank you. Yeah, guys, I don't know what next week is gonna bring. We had at least the RNC is over. And so to go back to my share.
Yeah.
Gotta put my clock back up, Gilbert.
That's right. 66 days, guys. 66 days. You guys, you want to make sure you go vote within the next 30 days. Within the next 30 days, I would say within the next 2 weeks. Go ahead and vote, but you got 66 days, 7 hours, 56 minutes, and 20 seconds.
We are counting down because you need to vote to get the clown out the White House, but you also need to vote for Proposition 16 to reverse the I'm sorry, Veronica, to reverse the
Prop 209. They had a restriction on minorities being awarded contracts and opportunities. So now Prop 16 should release that restriction, and we should be able to get our fair share now.
Right. So we want to make sure that, and the other proposition is 20, and that is voting for the gig industry to reverse that or make some changes to AB 5 because it is destroying the gig industry. Uber and Lyft was last week ready to leave. They were ready to leave California. So right now I think there's a stay until we go to vote. We cannot lose the gig industry. It has been vital for many people. When there's no jobs, they were able to create opportunities for themselves. We cannot allow a country that is built on capitalism and opportunity. People came to this country for opportunities.
Yeah.
We cannot allow them to take away opportunities for you to increase your wealth base and take care of your family. That is just vitally important. So
You
we
know,
have to
that's
fight for everything.
that is a very, very good thing, Crystal, that you're sharing with them. I also want to add this, thinking about the gig industry, there are people out there who are very talented. They're consultants, they might be programmers, they might be document preparer. There may be, all kinds of things. There is a website that you guys can go to. It's called upwork.com, www dot, and I'm gonna put it up here. It's in the chat. www.upwork.com. They're always looking for consultants. Crystal mentioned the gig industry. That's a gig. That's a gig environment there. So if you do marketing, if you do consulting, preparing documents, anything that you do, they are looking for you, and you get hired either by the hour or by the project. So you guys check out that site. Maybe that's a way for you to put some money in your pocket.
Right. And you can do that with Fiverr as well. So if you have some skills, and we're not saying to make that your living, but right now you got to use all opportunities in order to make sure to bring in revenue. So Veronica, yes, is taking the challenge. Victoria is taking the challenge
Good.
to increase and add another sector to their customer base. And then I also challenge you to look for other ways to create revenue. So by the end of the year, you have reached your goal that you had at the beginning of the year when we had so many opportunities that were taken away. So.
Good.
With that, Gilbert, it's 4:07. We've had a great show. We've been able to vent. I tell you, sometimes it's great to have a platform that you can vent.
Exactly. And just remember that he said it himself. He said, "You knew I was a snake coming in, and if I bite you, it's because you were careless, because you knew I was a snake." So he told you who he was. So you guys keep that in mind. Keep that in the back of your mind. November 3rd, when you go to vote.
66 days, 7 hours, 52 minutes, and now 5, 3, 2, 1 seconds. So we are out of here, guys. Have a great weekend. Be safe. Put your mask on. We got to get past this COVID thing. And so we're going to play out our song, and we will see you guys next week. We have a great guest next week, so see you next week. And thank you all who are back there listening, our audience. We appreciate you for supporting us. Go to our YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button, and make sure you hit the notification so that you'll know we're on next week. So see you next week. Have a great weekend.
We're out.
As a small biz pro, so we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small biz pro, so we grow, using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.
That was great.
Right.
And I wanted to tell him to shut up, and I'm not even a candidate.
All right, guys, we are live now on Facebook, and want to welcome you all to the weekly business briefing. This month, I am Crystal Mitchell. Want to thank everyone for our viewers for tapping in today. For the month of October, we are going to discuss everything that pertains to the election that is coming up in November 3rd. Information is so powerful right now, and this election is we got to vote like our lives depended on it. So I think it's very important that we bring people to the table that have information and give us the pros and cons. You have to make your own decisions, but you at least have to have the knowledge. So I want to thank you all. I want to welcome Miss Robin Billups to the team now. She's going to be working with us and bringing us some great guests. And Mr. Stephen is over there, and thank you, please, Stephen. And today our guest is Miss Karen Blackwell, and she's going to talk about Proposition 16. It's very, very important to us. It's really important. And I think in 1996, when it was banned in the state of California, we might not have quite understood what was going on. I know I was in my early 20s. I was right out of college. I hope I said I voted the right way, but I cannot guarantee that that's what happened. But now, as I was saying earlier to Robin and Karen, there is not a ballot that comes across my table or for me to vote on that I have not gone through everything. I've researched it. It takes me like 3.5 weeks to make sure, down to the judge. If I'm voting for the dog catcher, I want to know what his morals are. I don't want anything to pass up. So we want to we're going to get this conversation started, but let's Ms. Robin, would you like to say a few little words?
You guys, thank you for being here, and it's critically important that we vote consistently, not just that we vote, but that we pay attention from now on. It's not just the presidential election, it's the down ballot stuff that really affects us every day. I was planning to look up the stats for the census, but the last time I looked at the stats, only 64% of the folks in Los Angeles County had completed the census. It closed as of September 30th. So it'd be real interesting to see, how did that grow and what happened in our community as far as completing the census, especially in the Black and the Brown community, because again, that determines how much money comes from the federal government to our marketplace. So again, thanks for creating this platform, Crystal, so that we can be educated and informed and make decisions a little bit better.
Right, and I believe there has been an extension on the census to October 31st. So if you haven't done that, I know we've been so preoccupied with everything election and everything Trump that there are things that are going on locally that we have to take care of. So we want to welcome y'all. This is a platform for our community so that we can bring you and us together to talk about things that are important to us and our community to ensure that we are thriving for our future, past COVID, past economic, everything. So today, again, I'm Crystal Mitchell, the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars and the talk show host of The Business Zone. And I want to welcome you. And with that, Ms. Karen, we're going to turn it over to you and give us our pros and cons. Before Karen, but let me just read something real quick to kind of get us started. So in 1996, California voters banned consideration of race, sex, color, ethnicity, and national origin in public programs. So the California voters approved Prop 209 and very critical to the consideration of occupation, public education, public contracting in the state of California. So Prop 16 is here to reverse that. And Karen is going to give us the pros and cons and all the information that we need to have in order to make informative vote November 3rd. Welcome, Karen.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Crystal, Robin, Stephen. The work that you guys are doing on behalf of the Black business community, and like curb cuts, right? Curb cuts were for the disabled, and then it helped everybody. I think that while your program says it's for the Black business community, actually the information that you guys provide helps everybody. And so I hope that over time, your circle, as your influence continues to grow, because you're providing valuable information to all business owners, and in that sense, to everyone. but it's also really important to have a lens to look at what it means to the African American business community, because the challenges and barriers that our business owners face are extensive. Just as a quick rehash for those people who don't know me, and there are a lot that don't, my experience as a business owner, running a program for the Department of Commerce for minority businesses, then being a assistant deputy mayor for the city of Los Angeles Economic Development. And then finally, before I left my career, was with corporate America as the supplier diversity person for Nestle for North America. And I think it's important to say that part of it, because that helps you understand why I thought it was so important to really talk about this, to really start to look at how policies are implemented, right? We hear one thing and we look up and we see something else, and we don't know why it looks like that. So how did this come about? Proposition 16 was approved by the state legislature on June the 25th. It was authored by Representative Shirley Weber out of the San Diego area. It was signed on by the majority of the legislature, the African American, which is called the Black Caucus, signed on. So there was approval. The reason that it was initiated then was because they felt like, from my reading, right, they felt that the climate was right for this to be approved, because people would say, well, of course it should be approved. But what I found amazing is that when I began to talk to business owners, no one knew that it was even on the ballot, let alone what it means. And I thought, how could this be? There are three parts to this initiative if it's voted. And right now, it wasn't trending like they thought it was. It's not a slam dunk by any stretch of the imagination. It focuses on three areas: education, employment, and public contracting. When Proposition 209 was approved in 1996, it was led, the initiative, the public face of the initiative was Ward Connerly, an African-American man who was also on the Board of Regents for the UC system. And so people thought, well, look, he's for it. That was one thing. The other thing is, it's easy when you're forced to make a quick decision. Do you believe that gender, race, and ethnicity shouldn't matter? Well, the answer, of course, is of course it shouldn't matter. But that doesn't look at what the reality of the situation is. So when this was approved in 1996, the real focus of this was really the number of spaces in the college, the university system. And there were many people who felt that minority students and people of color primarily, women secondarily, were taking the spaces of other people who were more qualified. And that's how this got on the ballot. And this is how it got approved. Because again, if you just read, should race, gender, and ethnicity, religion, should those things be considered, everyone will say, well, of course not. And they like to say we should be judged on the content of our character. Of course we should. But is that what really happens? So 24 years ago, this was approved. And the majority of people who were in business weren't even in business 24 years ago. So they don't know what it was like before. Okay, so I think we have to set those parameters up as to what this means. Now, what it did away with was affirmative action. And people, again, and I say people, I'm just talking about like the general public, when they hear about things like affirmative action, they think that means it's a set aside. They think it means that somebody's going to get something that they don't deserve. That's not true. Affirmative action, as it was first created, that language was created by President Lyndon Johnson, and that was in the 60s, like 1968. And he said that people need to have an affirmative action to bring them up to the level where they can compete, where there is an opportunity. So we have now had, since the term affirmative action came into play, we've had like, what, I don't know, somebody quickly do the math. It's like 30 plus years of doing this. So at this point, our community is educated. Our community does have experience. Our community does have a desire, does have a drive. We have expertise, but there are still barriers to public participation. So what this is going to do is allow for affirmative action to be reinstated in the state of California. Now, to me, one of the biggest problems with this is that I haven't heard any conversation about what implementation is going to look like. So everybody be on guard for that, because it's always one shoe drops and then the other. So if we are able to reinstate affirmative action, what is that going to mean? So when people go to vote, what the ballot initiative says is it wants to eliminate, abolish the constitutional amendment. That was what 209 was. It amended the California Constitution and reinstate the ability of these organizations in education, in employment, and public contracting. These are public entities, to use this criteria, to use criteria that includes the words minority, includes the words women-owned business. Right now, the state of California has a program, and everybody thinks it's good and it works, for small businesses and veteran-owned businesses. But if you're a small business and you are competing in this space using the SBA's measurements, you have 4 people, and the SBA requirements and definitions allow for companies of up to 500 employees to be considered small business. How is that going to equate in terms of real opportunity, being able to compete? People, again, they point to language and they point out, it's really, we had, okay, so let me just jump back and say, we are having an event October the 7th, and it is a virtual event, and everybody's invited, and it's free, to look at the pros and cons and to really discuss Proposition 16, because we believe that voters need to be educated. So even today in my conversation, I'm not going to tell you vote yes. I'm not going to tell you vote no, because I believe that business owners are sophisticated, educated, and concerned. And if they do their research, they will vote their own best interest. That's all I think people need to be able to do. Vote your own best interest. Think about your business, think about your community, think about your family, and then make a decision. So back to Proposition 16. Should we be able to amend the Constitution to eliminate the ban on affirmative action? This is only going to open the door. This is not going to make a difference. This is going to open the door so a difference can be made. So in preparing for our October 7th event, which will be streamed live on Facebook, and Crystal, Robin, Stephen, we are sending out, you guys have copies of our marketing materials so that you can you can share the link, because that's really the best way for people to know how to register and join us. But in preparing for this, we tried to get statistics on women and minority participation in public contracting over the past 24 years, and it was almost impossible. Because how can you measure something if you can't measure it? If it's illegal to look at women and minorities as separate entities, how can you measure it? And everybody that comes out of corporate or anywhere now knows that whatever gets measured is what gets done. And so if we don't have measurements, consistent, quality, easily accessible, transparency, which are why metrics are important, then we can't measure it. So when we were looking, we were able to only find information around Caltrans because Caltrans has federal dollars. And whenever you have federal dollars added to something, it's called the color of money. Then you have to elevate to the federal requirements. So under the disadvantaged business category, under federal contracting, that's when they can at least look at minority and women-owned businesses as a subcategory of disadvantaged businesses. And we were able to find some metrics around that. So with those metrics, and it was really a deep dive, I'm talking about days and days of trying to find this information. There's a company, I think they're out of Colorado, BBC, that does the analysis for the disparity studies for Caltrans, and there's getting ready to be another one. They do them every 3 years. And then we found another report that was funded by a private foundation that also sought to investigate and find out about contracting. So using the data that we were able to find, we found that the percentage of contracting that went to minority and women-owned businesses was at a high in 1998 of 24%. And in 2016, according to the Caltrans disparity study, it's at 14.4%. So that's a decrease of 10%. So then there are a lot of their numbers, people like to use numbers, but they don't want to tell you where they got them from. So if you look at there's an organization that is supporting Proposition 16, and they say women and minority businesses have lost $1 billion annually. And we were like, how do you get to that? We couldn't figure that out. So what we extrapolated was if you were at 24% in 1998, and you use that as a possible metric. It's possible that that the state of California can do 24% of its business with women and minority businesses. And then we look at what they're doing now at 14.4%. And we look at the pie, and a good pie that we could look at was one that was $4 billion annually in the California reports for 2016. So that decrease, I'm sorry, I said 4 billion, it's much more than that. The difference between the 24% and the 14% turns out to be $1 billion, more or less. So if you look at $1 billion of lost contracting opportunity annually, what does it mean to our community to lose $24 billion, a percentage of $24 billion? Let's say we get a third of that, a third of 20. What would it mean to our communities to have had $8 billion worth of contracting opportunities over the past 24 years? There's an old saying that, like with the voting rights bill that was approved. I mean, people like to approve things that are really kumbaya. They make us feel good. When they stop feeling good is when we start dividing up that pie, when we start talking about money. Then all of a sudden, crickets. Okay? So we've had a lot of feel-good conversation, but when it comes down to really looking at the money, all of a sudden, the opportunities seem to dry up. It's quiet. And the reason that I bring that up is because with affirmative action, people want to talk about education. That's good. With affirmative action, people want to talk about employment. That's good. But if money had gone into the minority business community where we would have been able to create our own jobs, we would have had revenue where our own kids would have been able to get tutored, have opportunities for parents to pay tuition. What would that look like? So instead of driving the conversation around the feel-good aspects, I believe minority women business owners must step up and demand accountability around things that have a direct economic impact in our communities, which is why Proposition 16 is so important.
As a small biz pro, I saw we roll, using procurement, program, and control. As a small small biz pro, so we grow. Using procurement, program, and control. I'm a businessman, yes, I'm an entrepreneur.